Uganda decides. It is a big day all over Uganda and the East Africa region as Uganda goes to the polls to elect president.
Yes.
I think they are going to elect one. They're just going to approve what they've had for a while, as well as members of the National Assembly in Uganda. That is a big discussion this morning, the 15th of January 2026. A big discussion, plus a lot more happening locally. But yes, the big one, Uganda decides. This is a Morning Cafe. My name is Freddie Ndimuli.
Maybe this year the 44-year-old singer Bobby Wine might actually clinch the top seat. We'll see. Letu jicho too. We don't want to jinx it. Mkuje mseme, oh, Morning Cafe said it's only one horse race. Like it's basically kuna Mafabi, kuna Muntu.
Ni wengi. There are eight presidential candidates in total. Yes. And it is a big discussion here even locally, and you'll see even on our dailies and even the cartoons.
Yes.
That is the main focus. But the elections are coming at a time when the internet has been switched off in Uganda. A number of NGOs have been suspended as well, and security is heightened across the entire country. So yes, this is what we'll be looking at and discussing with you. Uganda decides. But let's come back home and take a look at the local dailies, and we start off with the Daily Nation this morning. 800,000 senior school learners still at home. Remember, today is just the fourth day of senior school learners reporting. This, I think, will expire tomorrow. Probably there may be an extension, but at least 4 days gone, 800,000 senior school learners still at home. That's a Daily Nation. Of course, Uganda decides is a big one down here on the front page of the Daily Nation.
The Standard, turbulence at KQ.
Ameenda mambo yao totally different. Taifa Leo ni kilio na hasara. Tutazungumzia baadaye.
The Star, big rip-off. MCAs, top county staff vanish with car and house stones.
Where? On the People Daily, deputy contender race to be Ruto's running mate. Na wameweka sura zao pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele. That's the People Daily.
And finally, Business Daily, mobile money agents' cash transfers dropped by 430 billion shillings.
Interesting. For these discussions this morning, we'll be having Wilson Sosion, who's a veteran educator and unionist, Dr. Peter Mbaye, the Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP, and Kathy Rungu, governance expert, and Fwamba NC Fwamba, political commentator. Do stand by for that conversation coming your way at 6:30 this morning.
Later on, being a Thursday, we look at matters health. What's on your plate? With Dr. Rose John, this is a specialist in matters nutrition.
Remember, was it the Star newspaper that earlier this week was had a special report on nutrition and how it affects the economy directly?
Yes.
That we lose money as a country because of how badly we eat.
Yes.
Right.
And it's interesting because today is Women's Healthy Weight Day, International Day.
Okay.
It's about women mostly, but today it's also giving husbands an opportunity to squim a little bit.
All right.
That it's Women's Healthy Weight Day.
What's on your plate?
Yeah.
All right. Tukivuka border tuingie Uganda sasa, and this is the only paper we have managed to get. The New Vision, apparently it's not available. The last paper you can see online here, I think Monday or Tuesday. After that, no papers. Tangu internet is Zimwe, the only paper we can access is a Daily Monitor. So your vote counts is a big headline there against a white backdrop. The die is cast. Today, 21 million Ugandans have the chance to go to the ballot to shape the nation's destiny, choosing a president and parliament to steer the ship for the next 5 years. For some, it is a baptism of fire. For others, an old song they've danced to for 3 decades. The world now awaits the people's verdict. I said the Pope's verdict. So they've given extensive coverage on this paper to the elections, pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm sure even plus page 1, so those 10 pages from the Daily Monitor, just focusing on the elections. I'm not saying that the New Vision, probably they've not been able to publish. Maybe they have, but probably because of the challenges, we're not able to access it. So yes, they have a white ballot box there, the Electoral Commission logo. The register of voters has 21 million. So this will be the big discussion even here on Morning Cafe this morning, the security issue. Given what we saw in Tanzania on October 29th last year with the elections there, the violence that followed.
25th.
It was 29th, October 29th. Okay. The violence that followed, what else that followed, the killings that followed, internet shutdown that followed as well. Are we seeing more of the same in Uganda, and can we or should we expect 2027 to experience something similar? Anyway, that's in Uganda. Letu jicho tu. All right. Pale chini on the front page of this paper wanasema internet shutdown hurt mobile money users. Alafu kuna Trump freezes immigrant visas for Ugandans. Wako na shida kiasi. So that's the only paper we have from that area of East Africa. Let's move on to Tanzania.
All right, gazeti la Mwananchi, bandika bandua mawaziri ya tikisa. Ile ngoma ya back bandika back bandua, do you know it?
What kind of music do you listen to?
Lakini wewe unasikiza ile, anyway, I've forgotten about it. Mambo ya ndani, mambo ya nje, ulinzi, mali asili na utalii, kaa la moto kwa vigogo, wengi wanaachia kijiti ndani ya miaka miwili, wachambuzi wataja kiini cha tatizo. Bandika bandua mawaziri ya tikisa. Kwa hiyo kikubwa hapo ni utashi wa kisiasa na maono ya anayewateua, kwa kuwa ndiye anaamua mtu wa namna gani atafaa kuwa kwenye wizara gani. Hii ni kulingana na
they're talking about a cabinet reshuffle. But don't you think it's a bit too fast or too soon after the elections? But then again, maybe it's just a reshuffle of the senior officers in ministries in Tanzania.
Is it too soon though?
Well,
saa 72 ngumu za ACT kuingia na kuitosa SUK ni habari nyingine katika ukurasa wa 6. Vigogo wapya wapewa rungu kamati bunge kule Dodoma. Bunge la 13 limeunda jumla ya kamati 17 huku kamati nyati zikikabidhiwa kwa wabunge wa upinzani wa Chauma na ACT Wazalendo. Sintofahamu mtuhumiwa akijinyonga mahabusu ni habari nyingine katika ukurasa wa 5. Na kule juu, mbinu kukomesha ukeketaji na biashara haramu ya viungo. Gazeti la Mwananchi limesalia na habari hili wiki nzima.
That special report. On the Citizen, still in Tanzania, Tanzania renews copper aim amid record prices. They say global copper prices have surged to a historic high of more than $13,000 per ton, prompting renewed optimism in Tanzania's mining sector as the red metal cements its position as one of the world's most strategic commodities. And you realize every time we look at the front page of the Citizen, they're always talking about another mineral. Mara Tanzanite, mara gold. Mara, when will we ever talk about that? Tuliongea tu gold kidogo tu ile pale Ikolomani na ikaenda. Even this paper gives a lot of prominence to what is happening in Uganda. At least half the page on the front page of the Citizen is dedicated to the elections in Uganda. What Uganda's high-stakes elections mean for the region. And I like that angle. Seeking a 7th term after 4 decades in power, Uganda President Yoweri Museveni today faces off with a youthful opposition challenger, Robert Kyagulanyi, popularly known as Bobi Wine. Unasikia wanasema youthful. Wache kuita watu wazee. So yeah, okay. The first time they had elections in Uganda after Museveni came in. Museveni came in 1986. So the first time they had elections was in 1996, 10 years later. That's why, and after that, every 5 years they've had elections. So this is the 7th time he's seeking re-election. All right. Experts urge to get tougher action to end FGM and related illicit trade. That special report still on the papers here. UDAT out to revamp first phase of BRT with 100 new buses. And ile international scene, Iran threatens to hit US bases if attacked. Bado wanawika tu kule. All right, so that's the Citizen. A lot of focus on what's happening in Uganda. Let's come back home and take a look at the weather situation. But then again, I'm thinking, if at all, If at all we are to look at the weather situation across the country, probably it would be a good time to take a look at even Kampala. What kind of weather are they experiencing today? Because tumeangalia Kenya sana, acha tuone kama tunaweza jua Kampala wako na.
Kenya is our business.
It is our business. Like Africa is our business because we are Africans. Tuende Kampala leo tuone hali ya anga as they go to the polls, how it looks. So it's 16 degrees this morning in Kampala, which is much warmer than what we see usually in Nairobi. They say it is clear skies with periodic clouds, but highs of 31 degrees. Can you imagine queuing for elections under 31 degrees temperatures? Very little precipitation expected, and this 31 degrees will continue dropping into the weekend to 29 and next week. But hey, quite hot in Uganda as they go to the polls. Closer to Uganda is Turkana. 22
degrees this morning, feels like 24, highs of 37 degrees in Turkana. Precipitation, nothing. And this, hii wiki yote ni jua kule Turkana.
Unajua kuna watu Turkana huwa wana cross border wanaingia Uganda, wanapiga kura huko pia. Alafu watu huko Karamoja, which borders Turkana, they cross into Kenya and vote in Kenya as well.
Oh, wow. They're Kenyans and they're Ugandans?
They are the same families.
Oh, wow, okay.
In Murang'a, Mount Kenya region, it's also quite hot. Clear skies in Murang'a today. 14 degrees currently, but it will get as hot as 29 degrees. So generally, it's a very warm day across the country. You've seen Turkana, now Murang'a. Let's see what Eldoret looks like.
This morning it's 12 degrees in Eldoret, quite cold. Feels like 10 degrees. Clear skies today. Highs of 26 degrees, so it also get warmer. Precipitation, nothing.
All right. Down south of the coast, najua saa hii holiday imeisha officially. Saa hii unarudi kazi usipende. It is also clear skies with periodic clouds, currently 27 degrees, highs of 30. Kule wanasema kunaweza kuwa na manyunyu hata si manyunyu. Hii hata huwezi feel. Yeah, but it will get even hotter into the weekend, 31 degrees.
But on Sunday
kutakuwa na mvua kidogo, 30% chance of precipitation on Sunday.
All right.
Yeah.
Finally, Nairobi, the city under the sun. This morning it's 14 degrees, feels like it. Clear skies, 28 degrees, a very hot day in Nairobi as well. Precipitation, nothing.
28 degrees is actually the hottest we've seen this January in Nairobi.
Yes.
And this one I think will drop once we get to the weekend.
It will actually rain on Sunday. Kuanzia asubuhi. Sasa this, at least you can sleep in on Sunday. Wengine hawaendi kazi. So Sunday, beautiful weather, but it will still be hot, 27 degrees.
All right.
All right, 11 minutes for 6 a.m.
How is the traffic looking in Nairobi? Ningekuwa najua mabarabara ya Kampala ningewapatia traffic ya Kampala, lakini kule sijafika. Sielewi, lakini nasikia hawana barabara. Ni kusikia, sio sijasikia. Fununu tu. Fununu ni kama hawana mabarabara. Maybe wanatumia ndege. Anyway, major tributaries into town looking good. There's a bit of traffic on Outer Ring Road around Feather, but it's on the opposite side of the road heading towards the airport, and I'm wondering what that could be. So if you're using Outer Ring Road, be careful. Around Feather, there's a bit of traffic, a stretch of red there, heading towards the opposite direction, not heading towards town. So that could be a problem. Eastern Bypass, also something is building up. After that, Embakasi interchange, heading towards Cabanas, I can see a long stretch of yellow there. Other than that, everything else is normal. Thika Road, there's something building up Pale Garden City Mall. You can see a stretch of red Pale. After Kasarani, just before you get to the Garden City Mall, there's a stretch of red hapo. So kama unatumia Thika Road and you can avoid that, please do. After that, Pale ata Pangani interchange is building up slowly, nothing out of the ordinary. So Kiambu Road, sio mbaya. Pale CBD, kama kawaida what we've seen this entire week, bado traffic, a lot of traffic around railways roundabout and Landis Road roundabout as well. Both sides of the road going down, going up. Landis Road 2 is busy, Pale Machakos bus station next to Muthurwa. Jogoo Road not looking bad, everything is normal there. Mombasa Road 2 getting into town is looking fine, but there's a lot of concentration on most of the entry points into the expressway. Wayaki Way coming down into the CBD is looking green. Na hizi barabara zingine tuli agree tusisumbuane nazo. So that's the traffic situation in the city.
All right, let's have the quote of the day. I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can accept not trying.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the local dailies. Tunazungumzia nini? All right, matters education still getting prominence in the dailies as senior school learners continue reporting to school, but there's a problem, and the nation has noted this, that even as learners continue reporting, about 800,000 of them are still at home. How many were they in total? About 1.13 million. Yes. So only about 300,000 have reported to school. Remember, according to the ministry and the government policy, it is 100% transition. Yes. So what exactly is happening here? So anasema, this is the first grade 10 cohort in the competency-based education system introduced in 2017. Only about 300,000 of the over 1.1 million junior school graduates have reported to their respective senior schools since Monday, with the low turnout blamed on several factors, including cash constraints, which is true, and the last-minute quest to change institutions. So I don't know if the ministry now will be compelled to extend the period with which, in which learners can report. So that, unajua kuna watu wengi, with the new system of placement, there were a lot of complaints. Sijui watoto walipelekwa wapi, wengine wakapelekwa wapi, wengine akasema kila mtu asome kwao. So many parents have been up and down trying to talk to principals wageuze shule. Lakini the problem is that this time round there was very little human intervention. The placement was done through a computer-based algorithm, and it picked learners and placed them everywhere. So correcting that is really taking time. So some of the problems, school fees. Schools are demanding payment of fees in full, some for the entire year. Na una hiyo pesa. Matters transfers hiyo tumezungumzia, the wait for slots in schools where some students will not report. So wengine wanangojea tu waone kama kuna mtu hata report Alliance aende apate nafasi. Travel, learners traveling to far-flung areas still making arrangements, and needy students yet to secure bursaries and scholarships from state kitties. So these are some of the challenges that have made more than 2/3 of senior school learners not to report to school yet. The other story, of course, the elections in Uganda, given prominence there. Hapa chini kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Daily Nation. Millions of voters casting their ballots today in Uganda's general election, with President Yoweri Museveni, who has been in power for nearly 4 decades, seeking a 7th term. His main challenger is former pop star Bobi Wine, but there are 6 other candidates who we are not talking much about. Wengine Mafabi na Muntu, au wengine huwajui. Pale juu Matangi alleges political witch hunt as property destroyed. That story is on page 10. It made a lot of discussion on online. Watu wengi wakizungumzia wakishangaa mbona wanamfanyia hivyo. You can read more on that. How Njonjo factor shaped law society. As a legal advisor to President Jomo Kenyatta, once prosecuted and imprisoned by the colonial state, Attorney General Charles Njonjo supported a bar and bench that retained their whiteness and British orientation. Remember, the Law Society is going for elections, kuchagua a new president. So Faith Odhiambo, we've had enough faith in faith. Now it's time to have faith in someone else. Amemaliza. Hatam. So that's the Daily Nation. I'm trying to see what else is there on the inside pages.
Annual fee for senior school, as per the Ministry of Education, is 53,000.
So some schools are demanding the payment of the entire year.
Yes, but some are asking for more.
Yes.
53,000, according to this newspaper.
Oh, yes. All right. So, nasikia kuna Ministry of Nakuru Slum School with no grade 10 learners and only Form 4s. Wow. All right. Natafuta story nyingine hapa. Leo ni kama kuna mambo mengi. ODM. Kwani tumesahau ODM? ODM tells rebels to leave as unity drive starts ahead of 2027. Wako huko page 8. By the way, hata kama hatuna news ingine, I think people are tired of talking about ODM.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hata kama ni wewe unaweza.
Watu wamechoka.
Yeah.
Back page, Matter Sports, new cross-country queen wants more conquest. And this, all hail the queen, World Athletics Cross-Country Championship senior women's winner, Agnes Ngetich. A picture there of her arriving at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport from Tallahassee, Florida, yesterday morning. Highest scoring AFCON and counting. Yesterday semi-finals zilichezwa, Nigeria wakabanduliwa. Sasa Morocco watafika finali. Nani mwingine alifika finali? Alifika finali. All right. Kama hujakuwa ukifuatilia utajua mengi zaidi. Daily Nation.
The Standard, turbulence at KQ, Mayday. The grounded fleet crippling the national carrier is not misfortune but brazen looting. Insiders confess that a ruthless syndicate within Kenya Airways is stripping parts from aircrafts on the tarmac, selling them back to the airline as new in a shameless cycle of theft. Can you imagine? As passengers suffer endless flight cancellations and farmers watch their products wilt because they can't export, The board's answer is a dubious 60 million shillings per month lease for old Boeing jets, a deal experts call financial suicide. With over 98 billion shillings of taxpayers' money already spent on bailouts, Kenyans are left asking, is this the final betrayal of the pride of Africa?
So walisema waliunda profit juzi, lakini ni kama tu walikuwa nasoma vitabu zao.
Tusikie wanasema nini. KQ former board director is saying the planes were leased to Oman Air at industry rates, while KQ continued paying the inflated price it negotiated when it leased the planes. Nothing the consultants did or recommended ever worked, and they took home billions. Of course, hawezi kubali. The acting CEO, Captain George Kamal, is saying even with a finely tuned network, some of the disruptions wrought by the pandemic persist. Chief among them is a global squeeze in the aviation supply chain. Aircraft sent for routine maintenance are taking longer to return to service, delayed by shortages of critical spare parts. KQ has not been spared. 60
million per month lease for old Boeing jets. So in a year, they're leasing at about how much? 60 by 12, 720 million. Wow. Almost $1 billion. Wanasema ni financial suicide.
That's the only story given prominence on the front page of the Standard. Ile story ya drought bado inaongelelewa. Red alert, hunger crisis looms as drought tightens grip on counties. In Mandera, malnutrition has reached critical levels with over 69,325 adults, children affected. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki said the government is prepared to respond to the situation.
This story is very interesting, this one. The story on page 3 of the Standard talks about police pliers that is costing taxpayers 1 million shillings. So apparently someone was arrested by police. Akapelekwa akakuwa tortured na wakatumia pliers kumtorture to force him to pay some 250,000 shilling loan. Alafu ikasemekana kumbe walikuwa na torture the wrong person. Now koti imesema serikali ilipe huyo jamaa milioni 1.
Very nice.
Hiyo pliers walitumia vibaya.
Realignment fear looms as ODM deal inches closer. This story is on page 4. Implications of a UDA-ODM deal are far-reaching, with the pact being fast-tracked and President Ruto is dangling sweeteners at the opposition, a move that is rattling his party. Inside fees racket, principal use underhand tricks to fleece parents. That's another story on page 5. We've talked about it. Party Daily Nation. And on the back page, why Man City environment is perfect for Semenyo. He made an instant hit as Man City closed the League Cup final, and Pep Guardiola's men swept aside Newcastle in the first leg on Tuesday. Interestingly, the Standard has no mention of AFCON anywhere today. This is very interesting. But yes, yesterday I think Senegal beat Egypt. Alafu Morocco wakachapa Nigeria. So for the finals, we have Senegal versus Morocco. Who are you supporting for the finals? That's a very interesting one. Who Morocco. Are you supporting?
Senegal. Morocco, they're enjoying too much. Wako home. Everything is just going their way. Me, I'm going with the underdogs. Senegal.
Morocco. We'll be back. Tutarudi after AFCON. Inisha kesho?
It's a Standard.
18th, Saturday.
Yes. Ni kilio na hasara, serikali yaendelea na ubomozi kwa makazi ulioanza Makongeni, Maruguini na hatimaye biashara ya gavana. So kuna picha kadhaa hapa mbele. Hapa ni ubomozi unaoendelea kule Makongeni na Maruguini, lakini hapa kuna ile ubomozi ambao ulitekelezwa katika mali ya gavana wa Kiambu, Kimani wa Matangi. Kuna magari pale ya kifahari yaliyoharibiwa katika ubomozi huo wa nyumba katika barabara ya Douglas Kihuri hapo jana. So mpango wa serikali wa kutekeleza miradi ya mabilioni ya pesa umesababisha kilio, hasara na mahangaiko kwa walala hai na walala hoi kutokana na uharibifu wa mali unaotokea kupitia ubomozi wa makazi. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 2. Wanasema ubomozi huu kwa mali ya Matangi na kule kwingine Makongeni ni kutafuta nafasi ya miradi ya serikali kama affordable housing, ile extension ya railway, kuwe na mahali railway inapita, watu wanasimama wakienda Nyayo Stadium kutoka kule Talanta Stadium. So
AFCON
ndio wanabomoa
2027.
ndio wanabomoa mali hii yote usiku.
Emphasis on usiku.
Usiku. Vidokezo zaidi, vigogo siasani wapima hewa kabla waamue. Magavana wa muhula wa kwanza wachukua misimamo ya tahadhari kuhusu waunge nani mkono siasani. Kama ule wa Murang'a amesema yeye bado alisema watu ndo watamwambia. Kwingineko, Nasir ataka uwanja upanuliwe, ataka uwanja wa ndege wa Moi kule Mombasa kufanyiwa upanuzi zaidi. Masuala ya Uganda pia yamepewa nafasi kidogo pale chini. Uganda waelekea debeni leo. Pale juu wanafunzi 800,000 wakosa kuripoti grade 10. Na kwenye spoti Semenyo wafunga City ikinusa finali. Gazeti la Taifa Leo.
All right. The Star, big ripple of MCAs and top county staff vanish with car and house loans. Assemblies, executive arms fail to recover facilities advanced to officials. Now, this is interesting. I was looking at it before we came there, that the revelations lay bare deep structural flaws in the 2 multi-billion shilling scheme, coming at a time when public confidence in devolved governance appears to have nosedived. It says that millions of shillings advanced to MCAs and other top county officials, including governors, as car loans and mortgages, may never be recovered.
Ulipatia watu pesa wakanua manyumba na magari na uwezi rudisha pesa.
Imeenda.
Imeenda.
Yeah, imeenda. Who did he offend? Car wash torn down. Destruction. Kiambu Governor Kimani Waitangi at his car and carpet cleaning business near Nyayo Stadium that was demolished on Tuesday. Unasema kwa nini wanamfanyia hivyo?
Mbona wadi alikasirisha na alikula mbuzi ya nani ndio watu wanauliza.
Anyway, Eastpike questions Safaricom shares pricing, claims country getting raw deal. That's another story on page 8. How counties will share 420 billion shillings proposed by Treasury. It's another story on page 9. Kule juu, 4 decades on, President Museveni seeks to extend his rule as Uganda votes. At least the Star pia wamezungumzia Uganda kidogo. And families spent sleepless nights over missing men serving in Russian army. That's the Star, fresh, independent and different.
On the People Daily, they continue with their reporting on politics for 2027. And on this one, they talk about the possible second in command, a deputy contender, the race to be Ruto's running mate. So who will be Kenya's president in waiting come 2027? But this is a very huge assumption. Okay, fine, because now they are considering who will be the running mate for President William Ruto, meaning that if President William Ruto succeeds, then that automatically becomes a deputy president. Will he go with his current deputy, Kithure Kindiki, as a running mate? Will he go for the PM CS? Will he go for the CS for mining, Ali Hassan Joho, Gladys Wanga, the ODM chairperson, Mwangi Kiunjuri, Oburu Oginga, Dr. Anne Waiguru, George Kariuki? All these are just some of those that people have suggested would make a possible running mate for President William Ruto. That story on page 4. Elsewhere, youth at crossroads. Can Gen Z turn up protests into political power? Tulikuwa na hiyo discussion hapa asubuhi.
Yes.
Mtu alisema Gen Z ni moto ya makaratasi. Mimi sikubaliani naye, lakini kuna mtu alisema hivyo. People Daily.
Mobile money agents' cash transfers dropped by 430 billion shillings, and the value of cash handled by mobile money agents, including those linked to banks and telecommunication firms, fell by a record 430.3 billion shillings in the first 11 months of last year, signaling a shift in payment channels, heightened tax scrutiny and tighter liquidity environment. That's a story on page 2. It's a very interesting story. CBK data shows record fall in cash handled last year, and digital payments shift, reducing the need for agent transactions. Value of pharma imports down 22% on shift to cheaper products. That's another story on page 2. Governor of Matangi property demolished there. On the ticker, Italian wine bottle caps make it by Kenyan company. Oh, wow. US startup seeks to rival Starlink in Kenya, and dividend yields fall to single digits on share price rally at NSC.
All right, so these are the business-related headlines on the Business Daily. Once again, we remind you of our panel. Wilson Sosion, Dr. Peter Mbai, Kathy Rungu, and Fwamba NC Fwamba. In a few minutes' time, they will be in studio. As we take a look at the big discussions today, of course, Uganda decides, as well as the students reporting for senior school. After that, we'll be taking a look at Matters Health. What's on your plate? Matters Nutrition with Dr. Rose John, who's a nutritionist. Tuangazie caricatures. This is a Ugandan paper. Tukija Kenya tuangazie tunazungumzia nini. This is a cartoon on the Daily Nation, and it has a caricature of the Ugandan president Yoweri Museveni on phone with a candle on his head, and he's on phone with who? Amesema hapa, yes Samia, next steps please. So he's in the dark, ndio maana kuna candle. Alizima stima, akazima internet. Are they suggesting amezima stima? Ni kama kuna giza, internet blackout, not stima. Kuna internet blackout, amengoa hata inaonekana pale.
Yes.
Kwa hivyo anafuata script ya Mama Samia. Ndio namuuliza next step please. Nimezima, so what next? Daily Nation.
This is the Star. Power extension measures still matters Uganda. Kainerugaba bako pale. Na of course Museveni ako pale, lakini kuna mtu amefinywa. Chagulaji.
Kainerugaba amevalishwa diaper kwa hii katuni. Huyu katuni by this mimi naangalia, hata ukiangalia unaona amevalishwa diaper. Sio mimi nimesema.
Yes.
Lakini ameekelea magoti kwa Chagulani pale, anamaliza jamaa.
Chagulaji amefinywa kabisa.
Amengoa internet.
Huyo anangoja nini firimbi? Pulize firimbi. Hiyo ni soother. Okay.
The one on the Standard still talking about what is happening in Uganda, and a caricature of the president Yoweri Museveni. Amebeba ballot box mwenyewe. Na mpiga kura ako kwa mfuko tayari. Na anapiga kura. Alafu pale wameandika Uganda decides, and then they cancel Uganda and say Museveni decides. 40 years and going strong. That's the Standard. So you see, 3 out of the 4 cartoons we are looking at today matters Uganda. Uganda decides. Then the last one. Ile story tumeboeka kuzungumzia.
That coalition, ODM, UDA. Rais amevalishwa chungwa hapa sasa. What a juicy outfit, commentator anasema pale. What a juicy outfit. Is it juicy though?
I don't know. It is after the Central Committee, Management Committee of ODM, walisema basically ni kama wamechukua decision kufanya kazi na UDA.
Admin leo anasema bwana hata uibebe kwa mgongo kama mtoto tunajua ni cabbage. Januari, hello. Lakini admin amekwamilia sana historia ya Januari. Januari imeisha.
Kwani huyo admin anaumia sana ni kama.
Tuangalie sasa comments. Beneo Galo anasema yes, mbona mtangazi sasa exactly. Advice Emmanuel Barasa Pastor anasema good morning, hii ni Januari. Nyama tamu products, wewe leta hiyo nyama ndegwa. Last warning.
He's always advertising nyama. Gregory Mudhama Sunny Boy says, good morning. Kieleni Massive, Machakos County, well represented. Advisor, Pastor Emmanuel Barasa Manu. Good morning from Kitengela, well represented. Nafuatilia show. Zawadi Shiko, good morning from Narumoru Karicheni. Kennedy Jumba Asirigwa, morning. And Abdul Wakolanya Teso, listening live.
All right, do interact with us. We appreciate you, of course, for waking up this early. Hata huyo wanyama, we appreciate you. Endelea hivyo hivyo. It's TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X at TV47 Digital, you can tag us. My handle on X is at Anna_Odida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47.
My handle on X is at Fred Indimuli. See you after the break.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. Only on TV47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach. Only on TV47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Mimi si kama. Hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Foreke tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Foreke is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Ani wewe furahia umekaa na kasukuru. CP unit ni
Punet. So you guys knew about
Piga.
Sawa basi. Sema, hata ungevi the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
Next time you need fresh lemon juice, microwave a lemon for 7 to 10 seconds. Then roll the lemon back and forth under your palm on the counter. When you squeeze, you'll get more juice from the lemon with way less effort.
Start your day with Relationship Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Ann Odida. Dive deep into the dynamics of love, friendship, and family as we explore the stories that shape our connections. Then satisfy your appetite with Tasty Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. where Anne serves up delicious recipes, cooking tips, and the latest food trends to inspire your next meal. Relationship Wednesday and Tasty Wednesday every Wednesday 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Morning Cafe.
Your nose alone won't always tell you if your eggs have gone bad. To find out, gently place uncooked eggs in a bowl of cold water. If an egg sinks to the bottom, it's A-OK. If it floats, it's seen better days.
excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Mimi si kama. Hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Forget tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Forget is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Yaani wewe furahia umekaa na kasukuma. CP unit ni
Punet. So you guys knew about...
Piga.
Sawa basi. I say, man, that don't give you the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You'll have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
Yes, indeed, Uganda decides. It is the 15th of January 2026, the day that Ugandans go to the polls. 21 million people on the voters register there to elect a president and the parliament of that nation. And it is something that Kenyans are following with great anxiety and expectation as well. Internet has been shut down in Uganda. A number of NGOs have been suspended, and this is how they're approaching the elections, remembering what we witnessed in Tanzania late October last year, and many people are wondering what will happen to Uganda, and could this be an indication of what to expect in the Kenyan situation, given the fact that in about 20 months or so, we also go into the elections. This is where we begin our discussion this morning. Uganda Decides 2026. Allow me to introduce my panelists. Beginning on my immediate left, Fwamba NC Fwamba was a political commentator. Next to Fwamba, we do have Kathy Rungu, a political commentator as well. Karibuni sana, you were here with us last week, so karibuni na tunaendelea na mwaka. Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, also a veteran unionist, educationist, and a former member of the National Assembly. He was also here last week. The only person who's here for the very first time this year is Dr. Peter Mbaye. Happy New Year, Dr. Mbaye.
Thank you.
Dr. Mbaye is the Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at DCP. And I know this panel is a very interesting one, but to pacify the issues, I know just even before we even started, the debate was already had already kicked off. But before that, let's discuss matters Uganda. And the concern is that whatever we are seeing in the region is now coming very close to home. Kenyans were very much involved in what was happening in Tanzania. They followed the elections with great interest. We're seeing a lot of that being replicated in Uganda as well. And probably the concern is, should we or could we be looking at possibility that this could also happen in our situation in Kenya come next year? The internet shutdown, heightened security, NGOs being suspended. Fwamba, let's start with you.
Thank you, Fred. First, I'm happy to see Dr. Mbaye back. Yeah, I think he stayed away long enough for us to forget the kind of things he said before he left. So it's good to have him back on the panel. About Uganda, I think it's a mock of democracy when you are talking about an election, yet you already know the person will be declared the winner. You know, Uganda has not known the best of the leadership. They have not experienced that because they had a very checkered past. If you look at right from independence, where after the Kabaka as a mover, then there was Milton Obote. After Milton Obote, they had an illiterate dictator called Idi Amin, who ruled for almost 9 years with an iron fist. And after that, they had Yusuf Lule and Godfrey Binaisa, who ruled for a number of days. Then there was Basilo Okello, who ruled for 2 days. And then they had Tito Okello, who was equally very illiterate, a general who was overthrown by Museveni. Museveni came in as an intellectual, who was a revolutionary, and therefore he was like a messiah. Unfortunately, for the last 40 years, that has seemed to remain the arrangement that the generals who took over in 1986 up to now are the ones who are ruling Uganda with their families. Therefore, democracy looks very elusive in Uganda, and going by the developments that are there right now, like switching off the internet, it's obvious that there is no election that is genuinely happening in Uganda other than just an endorsement of a 7th term. Can you imagine someone ruling now for over 40 years and still wants to rule? So it's unfortunate that democracy in Uganda is elusive and so reflective of the kind of things we are discussing before the end of last year about Tanzania. And for me, that makes Kenya look like a paradise, a democratic paradise, because some of these things are alien to us. And I believe that the kind of democratic gains and space that we enjoy is something that these other neighbors envy us.
Okay. Kathy, the biggest concern from a Kenyan standpoint is the fact that an incumbent, and we've seen this in Tanzania, and now it is expected to happen in Uganda, that an incumbent hell-bent on winning at all costs is allowed to do so. And this is happening in this region, and we will celebrate and congratulate them as well. And many Kenyans are wondering, could that happen here as well?
Good morning, Fred, and thank you for having us again. You know, first of all, I would actually call it a continuing trend, because last year we saw what happened in Tanzania. I mean, for me as an observer, I didn't expect anything better than what is happening in Uganda currently. Because first, the president is dictatorial. I mean, he's one person who comes out very clearly, says certain things without blinking, goes against the law, and he doesn't care. Now, would the same happen in Kenya? I think President William Ruto, from the look of things and what has happened in the past, can attempt to do such things. But you know, I would like to really remind the government and the people that support that side of government that Kenya is pretty different, because we have a very a good constitution that protects us and our voices. And therefore, if such an attempt is there, you can be sure that this place will be, first of all, ungovernable, and he will not be able to rule through, you know, such means and using the fist. He needs to assure us, he needs to assure Kenyans, and he needs to assure the East African community that he's not intending, he has got no intentions to behave the way Suluhu behaved and to behave the way the president of Uganda, Museveni, is behaving. And why do I say this? Because every time I listen to the members of parliament, and I listened to a former cabinet secretary, I think 2 days ago, who said in Nyeri, where I come from, that ata kura ikikosa kutosha tutaiba. So, I mean, the more they talk about things, the more members of parliament declare that they're going to be declared winners, and it doesn't matter how many votes or how the votes will be cast for the opposition. It is setting the pace, it's setting the stage for chaos, it is setting the stage for doubts. And, you know, the government and the people in the Kenya Kwanza side need to come out clear and assure us that the elections, they are not going to interfere with the election, and they are going to allow the IEBC do their work. The opposition, on the other hand, need to behave better. We cannot afford to manipulate, you know, to amplify lies and all these hula-baloos that I hear, especially from the DCP part of the opposition, where they also say things that do not exist. You know, sometimes you can repeat a lie so many times until it looks like the truth. And therefore, what needs to happen is, as Kenyans, we must push for accountability from IEBC. They look well prepared, but they need to assure us that there's no going to be interference of any sort. Right. If you switch internet in Kenya, because I think we are advanced, I mean, you are not going to switch it forever. People who have collected, I don't know whether you have seen the conversation going on by the young people, by the Gen Zs. They are saying that they are going to take photos of Form 34A, and they are going to post on their Twitter, and they're going to post on their Facebook and everywhere else. We are more empowered in terms of technology. And I expect, even if you switched off the internet, I mean, at some point you have to switch it on.
Right.
You know, and we'll access the results as they are. So please, the people in government need to behave better. And they need to ask the members of parliament and everybody else who supports them to shut up and not engage in fear peddling. That hatujali, hata tukishindwa, tutatangazwa. Hata tukishindwa, tutaiba. That's not the way to go.
Mwalimu Sosion, it is difficult to ignore our neighbors, especially the two who are closest to us. But when their level of democracy is nowhere near ours, yet they are the biggest trade partners. Right now, with the internet shutdown in Uganda, traders in Kenya are suffering because they cannot communicate with their clients or even their suppliers. It's the same thing that happened in Tanzania, and we suffered directly because even Kenyans were arrested there. Do you think that this will affect us the same way Tanzania's election affected us?
No, it will be completely wrong and tragic to compare Kenya with jurisdictions that are totally low in democracy. Kenya is a superpower democracy, and I think political leadership in Kenya, both the president and those in opposition, are conscious of the fundamental achievements of the democratic ideals in this country, and they need to protect that. We are a superpower democracy. That's a fact. Superpower. We can't compare with what happened in Tanzania and what is happening in Uganda. Of course, when you talk of Uganda, Museveni became president when I was in Form 4. And I think those who were in school will retire from public service while Museveni is still president. However smart you are, democracy means you must respect what you call term limits. In East African community, it was introduced by Nyerere in Tanzania, and it has been religiously practiced in Tanzania. But in terms of promoting democracy and transferring rights to the people, Tanzania did not do it. So Museveni should have left. In fact, Ruto might retire before Museveni leaves office. And you know, that is why when it comes to this comparison, and I would tell the media, it would be very wrong for you, the media in Kenya, to try and imagine that what happened in Tanzania and Uganda can be transposed to Kenya. Shutting internet means shutting out even the media. And this is a country with a constitution that is clear, with free press, and of course, the utility of mobile technology and ICT is at the highest level in Kenya. And in fact, one pillar of President William Ruto, pillar number 3, is to strengthen the ICT infrastructure, and we have a high-speed ICT. Tell me, how would such a president really act progressively and order the shutting of internet? Let me tell you, on the polling day in Kenya next year, that one you don't need to doubt. Internet will be up, everything will be running, up and running in the country. And we don't expect those, what we witnessed in Tanzania, what we are witnessing in Uganda, to be brought to Kenya. Kenya will remain democratic, and the sovereign power and will of the people will be exercised on the polling day. The media will report live. If they would want to tally even polls from polling station, they will. IBC will work independently as it has always been done. I don't think there is nothing to fear, absolutely. Nothing.
It is not inconceivable.
About next year,
it
Fred,
is not inconceivable.
Nothing to fear.
Dr. Mbaye,
nothing to fear.
It has happened before. The media has been shut down in Kenya. When the state decided that due to security matters, I think it was during the swearing in of...
Even during the Gen Z protests.
Yes, the media has been shut down in Kenya.
No, at some point we could not...
It was never shut.
The media was
Dr.
asked not to remain.
Let's allow Dr. Mbaye to comment on this. Dr. Mbaye, we may feel that we are at a different level of democracy here in Kenya, but the truth of the matter is we are not very far away from our neighbors.
Actually, we have a problem. We need to be careful. We need to be not worried, but we need to be concerned and alert. But because in the cartoon today of the Daily Nation, they are putting Museveni on call with Suruhu, asking, what next should I do, right? Now, look at that. Now, there are people who suspect that some very senior leaders in this country are the ones who are coaching Suruhu, Samia Suruhu, right? In this country, right? Now, the people in this country, they are being coached by Museveni. So it's a style, you know, he coaches, Museveni coaches Kenya, then Kenya coaches Suruhu. And then they have maybe teleconference calls, like, you know, every 1 week to look at the notes and all that. That's what people believe in this country. So, you know, if you want to solve a problem, first of all, understand, you must divine it very well. That is a problem. And the problem is, I like the way Susion is talking here, like he's a main advisor to the elections in next year. He is not. There are people who are capable of doing exactly that in this country. We must be realistic. There are people who are capable of doing exactly that, act as a matter of fact. Not only do they have the intention of doing exactly that next year, but also extend the term of government, of their limits, like Kagame, like Museveni. That is what is in their mind. So we must be very clear. There are people who are looking at 27 like our cover before they go to the bigger issue of extending their terms. So having known that, what do we do? One, I want to respectively say it is so unfortunate. Let me tell you, Fred, 2025. You know, people like Dr. Kiza Besigye has been in police cells for the last, I think, 2 years since he was abducted here. It is seriously bad. People across the world, I don't know where they are, residents of Rwanda. That is why sometimes Western countries look at us and they laugh. They're like, these are just like monkeys. You know, the kind of things that we do here. And then we go begging IMF, World Bank. You know, it's inconceivable. So what am I saying? One, it's extremely, if Fred, we as Kenyans, don't get extremely concerned. I said here on the issue of Tanzania. If we just say, oh, that is Tanzania. Remember we said here many people lost their property. Others, of course, were killed, Kenyans. Others were arrested. Others were not able to do the cross-border trade. The same thing with Uganda. We need to be concerned because whatever happens to your neighbor, it can happen home. That's a fact. But what do we do now? Fred, we have to tell our people to be extremely conscious, extremely alert. The only luck we have, and we thank God for the Kenya's democracy, is that we have a reasoning judiciary. When the executive and the legislature goes to bed, the only arm of government left for this country, I will repeat this again, is the judiciary. We want to be very, very alert to make sure, one, the issue of the electoral reforms. Because the issue of Smartic, you saw it the other day, the issue of Smartic, who owns it, already there are issues that already they have corrupted the system, okay? The issue of the system and all that is for us to check everything. And where we cannot get answers from IBC, we are going to go to court, make sure the technical issues are solved, and then the consciousness of the people. And I want to suggest the way people have said, please, kindly Kenyans, I have talked to people last week. People are full of fear. I want to tell Kenyans today, looking at the eye, we were here in 2022. As yet we were afraid. President Ruto overcame what I would call deep state, the state and all those powers to get votes. He never stole one vote. We were there. People voted in, and the votes were counted. So I want to suggest today, the same way the president used to say, there's no deep state, there's no system, there's no NIS lather. The same thing happens. Please, Kenyans, let us prepare to go and vote. Let's count the votes at the polling station. Let us announce it.
Do you
and
feel,
then
for example,
the power of the people, Fred, is what will help us.
Do you feel that what is happening with our neighbors could, in a way, create or prompt some lethargy in the Kenyan voter?
What it is doing as we speak, we must be realistic. That's why we have to address it. What is happening in Tanzania, what is happening in Uganda is a very big issue for concern. Now, that is why we need to up our political communication and tell people, excuse me guys, we are the leaders in the region. We cannot degenerate to what is happening. Let us show we are the big people who can do this differently. And of course, everybody respects Kenya for that. The issue of democracy, the issue of the 2010 constitution, the issue of the being from a VP to a DP. What we need to sell to our people, Fred, is hope and tell them, wait a minute, we must rise above. We must be the beacon of Africa that we have been. How do we do it? Like you said, please come out to vote. Let your vote count. Let it be counted at the polling center, and we announce the results immediately.
Because the feeling, Bonafwamba, is that these electoral processes in this region do not work. Yeah, that it doesn't work in Tanzania, it doesn't work in Uganda. What reason do we have to believe that it will work in Kenya? The reason why there's a general feeling of disillusionment among the Gen Zs, they're not even coming out to register as voters. Do you think that is a real risk, that some Kenyan voters may feel the electoral process is not really consequential?
The democratic systems are not working in Tanzania, they're not working in Uganda. But I want to appreciate the fact that Dr. Mbai acknowledges that in 2022, when they were campaigning for President William Ruto, they won in a fair and free circumstances. While on the side of Azimio, those of us who were in Azimio were so sure that the election had been rigged. Yet, at the same time, we're in government at that time, and somebody like Atwoli was so sure and was telling us that we are going to win by whatever means. Even on 15th of January 2022, we were at State House.
That belief still exists in Kenya, you can do.
We were at State House, and President Uhuru Kenyatta assured us that Raila was going to win the election. So we came out when we were so emboldened. But interestingly, those of us who were in what was referred to as the system ended up losing the election and complained that the election had been rigged, while those ones who won in UDA knew that the election was free and fair. Just like that time, Dr. Mbai represents that party called DCP. And you of course know that DCP is collapsing each and every day, moving towards losing this election terribly in 2027. So for that reason, they're preparing themselves to say that the election has been rigged, because they will lose. Anytime someone loses the eleation, they'll always say that.
Was that the case when you claimed that the elections were rigged? You say you were in Azimio.
That's what we believed at that time.
You no longer believe that the elections were rigged?
The Supreme Court decided that they declared that the election was not stolen. So the election was free and fair. But anyone who loses the election in this country claims that it has been rigged, because we are disadvantaged. Through that we lost opportunities. So we had to come up with that story of saying the election had been rigged.
All right.
While these ones who won at that time were so sure that the election was free and fair. Okay. And in the same manner, the United Opposition, specifically the DCP party that Dr. Mbai represents, that is disintegrating each and every day.
No, why is he repeating?
MPs.
You are discussing about Uganda.
I think
those people who are with them right now are leaving the party each and every day.
Gentlemen.
So for that reason, that's why Dr. Mbai wants to twist the story and make it look like...
Allow me to cut you short there. Let's take a short break. When we come back, the temperatures will have cooled a bit. Then we can continue this conversation. You're watching Morning Cafe.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Ila mimi simpa. Hiyo nao nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Forget tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Forget is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Yaani wewe furahia umekaa na kasukuni. CP unit ni
Punet. So you guys knew about
Piga.
Sawa basi. Sema, that don't give you the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You'll have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m.
Yes, indeed. Uganda goes to the polls. 21 million voters on the register are going to elect the president as well as parliament. President Yoweri Museveni, who's been in power for nearly 4 decades, seeking a 7th term. His main challenger, Bobi Wine, former pop star Bobi Wine, Robert Chagulani. The two are just among 8 candidates for presidency. This is the biggest discussion we have because it forms half on the front page of the Daily Nation. That's how big it is. It is also on the front page of our daily in Tanzania. Half the page, Uganda decides. And we want to continue this conversation and how this could affect our own electoral process come next year, because that's a concern. That it may, in a way, whatever disillusionment we see in Tanzania and Uganda, in a way affect the Kenyan voter.
I was saying that the democratic system that we have in the country and the institutions that we have established under the Constitution of Kenya 2010 are so robust and so solid that they cannot be reflective of what is happening in Uganda or in Tanzania. And that has been seen before in the kind of elections that we have carried out. Even the recent by-elections, we realize that no one can interfere with the electoral process. The outcome will be as the voters have expressed themselves. And that's why I do not think there will be any reason of anyone interfering with the process in any manner.
Yet,
and Dr. Mbaye also talked about the independence of the judiciary. Other countries that have been mentioned do not have that kind of advantage of separation of powers like we have.
Talking about the judiciary, you may say that our democratic process could in a way give a lot of confidence to the public, but no, we go to court after every election. That does not signify a lot of confidence in the electoral process, does it?
Okay, it is in Kenya that an election was actually nullified. A presidential election was nullified in the year 2017, during that general election. And we had to go back and vote again, repeat the entire presidential election. So in as much as we want to look at ourselves as empowered and having a very robust constitution, we must also appreciate that what has emerged from the cases are facts that there's always manipulation. There's always, there are errors, and they were very, very vivid. I mean, we could see them during the case, the Raila Odinga case. In fact, even in 2013, I think it's only that it didn't meet the threshold, but the case was very strong. 2017, of course, we know that's the first time a presidential election was nullified. In 2022, and just to add to what my brother Fuamba has said, I was also in Azimio. And we went to court. And as an agent, because I was an agent of Raila Odinga, I followed that whole process very keenly. And really, there were irregularities. And in as much as the court finally declared that William Ruto had won, which we had now, to agree with and say, let's move on, like we always do in Kenya, for me, it does not paint a very good picture. Because I remember even when the Judge Kome was reading the ruling, it came out as she was quite dismissive of the opposition, and I think that is why Raila Odinga and his supporters went to the streets. So yes, we have a good constitution. Yes, we have a judiciary that will listen. We have a judiciary that will come out strongly. We have lawyers argue in court, but errors have been there. Manipulation has been cited, and so many other errors, as it were. For me, the only way to avoid this, because the ruling in 2017, the conclusion was that a presidential election should be declared at the polling station using Form 34A. This business, and I think you've had many other leaders, including Mheshimiwa Martha Karua, come out and say, we don't need this tallying center. We don't need the national tallying center at Bomas or whatever else they plan to have it this time. Because I remember in 2022, after receiving about 85 constituencies, what we call the Form 34B from the constituency, at some point, it just stopped there, and it took so much time to receive the others until the last minute when everything else trickled. And I think I'll have to befriend Mheshimiwa Mbaye, because some of us have never recovered. You ask yourself, I mean, for 2, 3, 4 days, we were not receiving results. But the last minute before they declared a winner, everything trickled within an hour or less. We had a winner for the election. So these things happen, and I think a lot of manipulation takes place from the time we receive Form 34A to 34B. By the time we are getting the Form 34C, a lot of manipulation, a lot of adding and subtracting from some people happens, and that is what causes all these problems. Okay. I'm not saying that. I'm not a judge to determine whether President Ruto won or lost, or Raila won or lost. But the thing is, there was glaring errors, glaring manipulation in that process. So as we move forward, the judiciary also needs to be more intentional when they are giving these rulings and when they are making the judgments. Ensure that neither of the sides feels because there was a feeling of like one side owned the judiciary, or the judiciary was acting in favor of a certain group, political alignment. And in the future, it is very important that whatever happens within our Judicial Service Commission looks balanced, and we are not favoring any side.
Going back to the issue in Uganda, and let's probably consider the treatment or maltreatment of the opposition. And many may argue that even the Kenyan government, the Kenyan administration, and our security agencies collaborated with Uganda in the arrests and being held in custody of Kizza Besigye, was still in custody, and he was the main opposition leader. We've seen also Tanzania, other human rights activists arrested in Kenya with the help of Kenyan authorities to do that. So how different are we in suppressing opposition, if at all we can collaborate with other people who we see clearly they're not doing right?
Yeah, before I answer that, allow me to rebut on the statement of reliability of IEBC results, particularly the last elections, and the allegations of manipulations. Kriegler recommended that our electoral process must fully shift to IEBC, to ICT. And now, you know, in the last election, all voters needed to be biometrically identified before voting. That was done. There are two modes of transmission of results. ICT infrastructure transmission from the tallying center and even the polling center to the main IEBC server. That needed to have been running. For strange reasons, it probably didn't, it ran and then it stopped. But there is the other process of presentation of Forms 34A by the returning officers at Bomas. And it is verified by the agents of all political parties. And that was done. I was present at Bomas as one of the agents of President William Ruto. That was done.
No. It's actually one of the areas where agents disagree. It's one of the areas where agents disagree.
It is.
Because there were discrepancies.
Don't disrupt.
I was with you at
It has me that slept on the job.
No.
Don't disrupt my intervention. Don't disrupt my intervention.
We run the risk of focusing too much on the Kenyan process. Remember the discussion we are having.
Fred, no, it's also good to clarify. It's good to clarify.
I just don't want to introduce a new debate there.
No, I'm not introducing, I'm saying the Azimio's side had very poor agency system. In fact, they didn't have agents who were not even trained. They were idling at Bomas. They didn't have...
No. That is not true. So you cannot say that, Fwamba.
And so there are submissions on the same.
Yes, you
cannot help this debate.
No,
yes.
we had
we
had agents all over. We had agents all over, but
if we focus on Uganda,
let's focus on Uganda.
Allow a fellow panelist to speak, because we don't intervene when you are speaking. Don't disrupt. We come here to speak.
No, but it is also
granted.
Let's move on and discuss Uganda now. Forget about the Kenyan process.
That's a fact.
It's not a fact.
That's a fact. And I think Kenyan political parties should invest in their agents.
Yes, Manasa.
Now, on Uganda, the arrest of Besigye, it is totally wrong. Wrong. Don't use state machinery to suppress divergent thinking and of...
That was not my question, Bonasusion. It is Kenya's... what role Kenya played in that?
No, the circumstances of the arrest within Kenya...
Does that speak to what we could see here?
I can least comment, but I dare say you cannot arrest dissenting political voices in a country.
All right.
It's not right. And Kenya has never done that. And I'm sure by here will confirm that they're enjoying the freedom.
You can never say it has never happened in Kenya.
Everyone else... But even when they are hurling all manner of abuses,
let's hear Dr. Mbai.
And this is...
The feeling is that because even in Uganda, the main challenger, Bobi Wine, has actually experienced a lot of opposition from the security agencies. He's been blocked on several occasions. We've had your party leader complain about the same here in Kenya. How different is it? Again, the question I ask, how different is Kenya?
That's why I said, Fred, we have to be concerned and acutely aware of the setbacks that are going to be ahead. Remember, it was last year Tanzania, it's this year Uganda, it's next year Kenya. We have to be acutely aware that there are some issues replicating, seeing them in Tanzania, seeing them in Uganda, and which we can see some sense of. And that's why I've always said these three leaders, they are leading from the same book, script. And of course, Kenya, the fact that this government came the other day, they have been leading a lot of movies, watching a lot of movies from Uganda and Tanzania. And of course, importing a lot of bad manners. So what we are saying, you can see the pattern. Bobby Wine continues very freely last year. Then towards the election, the same thing used to happen with the BCJ. Around 2 weeks, 3 weeks, being arrested, all this confusion and all that. Now, this is what we are saying. I want to warn the people who think that they are going to borrow. They should ape us. We should be asking other African countries to ape Kenya, not the other way around. We cannot. We are a huge democracy. We cannot, Fred, continue looking at the tactics being used by our neighbors to come and copy them here. And so, please, we were being warned. I remember people calling me aside in a court and telling me, Peter, you are pushing for President Ruto to be elected. And his intentions are not good. He may end up like Museveni. Those are the words we were being told, categorically. And he has no intention of letting go power. But we said, look here, we cannot continue living in fear. We are going to do what we must do. And that's why I want to be very clear. From where I sit, 2 things very quickly. One, I'm urging this state to know Kenyans are not Ugandans. They are not Tanzanians. With respect to them, Kenyans will rise to the occasion. You ask a question about lethargy. We are telling our people here to know that we are the leaders. So we cannot be threatened or, feel that we are being learning the bad things, and so we get fear in Kenya here. So what are we going to do, Fred? I like actions. I like solutions. So I can tell you this, Fred. You see these tear gases in churches, or stopping people at Kagio with some policemen shooting at vehicles. It will end in August. We are going to persist. Let me tell you what is going to happen. By August, we want to make sure this government knows it's going home. Very early. The problem is you are not sure. You go all the way to the 2 weeks or a month before elections. We want to play psychological and emotional battle very badly to ensure by August you will not see the people themselves will go and say, police, come and shoot us. Forget about Gachagua. That's what is going to happen because we are the people who put you to power. You cannot suddenly realize you have tear gas, NIS, military, everything else, and it's us who put you to power. You'll see the power of the vote in this country. How it's going to happen? We are telling them, it's okay, you can continue doing all these harassments. Kenyans are going to come and say, wait a minute now, what are you doing here? Please, right now, we are aware what is happening now. They want police to begin now infiltrating the goons. To begin attacking. But Fred, I want to say this again. We must give our people hope. That's why we are on this show. Right. To tell people, because you're asking a good question, what does Uganda and Tanzania implications have on Kenya? Please, people of Kenya, you are the most important and powerful asset we have in this country. Going to the next year, Fred. So we are telling our people, let's be alert. You asked about this harassment by police. We are not going to allow it. We are asking our people to literally come and make sure all the rallies by opposition leaders happen. And finally, we are going to court, Fred. We are going to court. Again, I like our judiciary. We go to court to ask the judiciary to allow the election results as announced in the constituencies for the presidential will be final.
All right, and we shall not revisit that issue about voting in Kenya. I want us to focus on that issue of how security agencies are being used or misused to handle politics locally. Just briefly, then we finish that debate.
I would want to address the kind of hypocrisy that comes out of Dr. Mbaye's sentiments.
Can he address himself?
These are the kind
point that you have asked.
These are the
kind
kind
of things
that Kenyans are supposed to observe. Because what usually happens is that people feel comfortable when they are on one side. And then when they move to the other side, they bring another story altogether. The same arrangement that Dr. Mbaye seems to defend is the same that was in charge of the operations against Azimio protesters while they were in government. Very vicious. Even the attack on Uhuru Kenyatta's farm was based on such kind of operations that are now on the side of the opposition. So when they see these things happening...
Does it make it right?
It is not right. It is not right. But the circumstances are very different.
So you do you do agree that it is...
the difference is that for them, like where the tear gas is being involved, is where people are going to do political rallies to cause chaos themselves. So the police have to intervene to create order. So when the police are intervening to restore order, that does not become illegal or unfair. So these are double standards that Dr. Mbaye wants to advance with his team. And again, they are also trying to push the narrative that they are likely to win. How can you be winning when you are losing supporters each and every day?
All right,
Key allies are appearing each and every day.
It is about security agencies and how they're being used or misused during this electioneering period. Do you agree? Because now, simply because you're on the side of government, do you have to support this kind of treatment?
No. I mean, See, we in this country, we have very serious political bad manners. That when someone is holding power, they can misuse that power, including they can arrest, they can shoot, they can maim, they can abduct, and all the manner of things that we have seen happen in the past. At times, when people are in government, they support anything by that government. See no evil, hear no evil. When they get out of government, they start seeing the wrongs in the same government that they were serving. And a very good example is the DCP party leader and his lieutenants. And that is a fact. Because I remember one time when we were having our maandamano as Azimio, they came out, the people in DCP right now, led by Rigathi Gachagua, they said, you will never come out of the street again to protest. And he told that to His Excellency Raila Odinga the late, and may his soul rest in peace. And he was very clear. I looked at his face, and I trembled because I knew that coming from a deputy president that time, it spelled a lot of doom for us people who were on the street at that point. Right now, because they are on the receiving end, and I'm calling it the receiving end because they're in the opposition. That's the position we were in then, and we are still in the opposition. By the way, Freddie Dimuli, these people found us in the opposition. They joined the opposition. They left government because they really left government.
They have actually
Nobody should say that Rigathi Gachagua was pushed out of government. The case was clear, and Dr. Mbaye knows. After they left government, because they are the ones who left, they joined the opposition that we had genuinely created, a genuine opposition, and we were discussing issues. They have disorganized the opposition.
Finished.
The opposition now is almost a one-man show who is just spitting bile, telling people this and that against the others. It is not helping us. And the problem with our politics, Fred, is because we have this, again, bad manners of people being in the same party, the same thing that happened between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. And when they disagree, one ships out, forms some formation, calls his buddies, then they reorganize and start selling all these things that they keep selling to us. At what point are we going to discuss issues? Right. Because that is where we should be. That is what we should be. But remember, I will say this. The goons that we have seen on the streets, you cannot say for sure that they are just being sent from the government side. We do not even know where they are coming from. At times, I listen to the opposition, and even before they go to these rallies, their cause, their message is that we know they are going to send goons. How do they know that goons will be sent? You know, even in politics, people have been stage managing things.
Yes.
I come from Madera constituency, and I know that for a very long time, those kind of theater manenos has been happening there. And for me, my concern is this. As a leader, as we entertain Kenyans with all these lies, and Dr. Mbaye is very clear, he has called it emotional manipulation because that is what it is. As you manipulate the voter, at what point are you addressing the plight of Mwananchi, education, food security, health, school funding, and everything else?
The use and misuse of security agencies to handle political rivals.
I think Fred Idimuli, Fred, that may be a very irrelevant item of discussion in Kenya because it has no place.
There have been claims from the DCP that police were used to block their rallies.
Allow me to finish my statement, please.
No, you just call it irrelevant.
Please, yes.
There are serious claims from the other side.
Those are lies. Those are flat allegations. And you bring evidence here and proof, you as the media. So I think it is wrong to try and imagine that in the modern democratic Kenya, the police and the security agencies can be used to suppress political dissent in the country. No, it doesn't happen anymore. And in the electoral and political process, the rules are clear, the laws are clear, even how to convene political rallies, what the police ought to do to offer security and campaign programs is very clear. And that has been adhered to in the past, in the previous election, since 1992, the advent of multi-party. We've conducted decent multi-party politics in the country, very decent indeed. And going into election, the role of IEBC, and over time, the management, the electoral bodies have evolved to be efficient in the country. And where the security agencies come in terms of election, is through contracting by IEBC. The IEBC shall contract the police service to offer security to the process, and that has been done. Kenyans are used to, and I think going into 2027, we should be talking about how do we make our electoral process better so that the different stakeholders within the process can play their role. What will be the role of the security agencies in a manner that is decent? What will be the role of the media in a manner that is decent in reporting? What will be the role of observers? What civic education can we conduct among the voters so that they can play their roles effectively? Then what then can IEBC do so that there is prompt reporting of electoral activities and even tallying of results? Maybe for the first time, we might have, because the first vote to be counted, the first ballot to be counted in a polling station is that of the president. And if we conduct elections in all the polling stations peacefully and effectively, by close of polling at 5 p.m.
Back to the electoral process again.
Yes. No. It's important. It's linked. It's linked.
Because we're trying to draw parallels.
So that then we can be able to have the presidential tally results provisional within the night of the election.
You've made serious claims about the use of security agencies against your political party. Listening to the others saying that these are lies and these are stage managed, what does that make you feel?
Very quickly, number one, even if we are lying, Fred, we cannot go get tear gas, go get bullets, like the story of Kagio. We cannot do that. It is clear, it is known, this is police. Never mind that the president vowed, that time when he was begging for votes and, going to churches and, saying how he has been attacked by Uhuru Kenyatta. He vowed that he will never use police. He will never use security apparatus in politics. That's exactly what he's doing. Among the many promises he has broken. And so I can tell you this, Fred, it is very, very sad. And I'd want to say this. If the president believes he is God-given, he has a mandate from heaven. He is a man on destiny. And he has done what he said he is going to do. He doesn't have to fear opposition. Let him continue going round, and we go round. Everybody goes round. Kalonzo goes round, Matiang'i goes round. What is the fear? If you believe you are God-given, surely you should depend on the power of God to defend you.
That's the kind of narrative being created by the portion of the opposition.
And I'm saying this.
The narrative is created deliberately. They stage manage. They stage manage.
To wrap up this debate.
Fred, listen to me.
And then create it as a narrative.
Fred, you can see how calm I am because it's January, and I don't want provocation. We want to face this year in a nice way, and this is my birth month, so I have to respect the month I was born. If God sees I'm so troublesome on the month I was born, I may deny by some blessings. Okay. So I want to be very calm. So we are saying here, please, we want whatever the president, because we know, Mr. President, kindly stop this because it is a zero-sum game. The more you attack, the more the resolve comes in. The more you throw tear gas in church, the more you tear gas children, Mr. President, the more the people know you are the wrong person.
Now you see,
the more people regret. So I want to, and I'm saying this.
The violence against themselves, and then
don't allow him to.
It's not fair, So I am just calm to say, look here, we ourselves in the opposition, we don't have tear gas, we don't have police, we don't have all these kind of things. But we have one thing, people will hang on together. By the way, let me tell you, I don't know why people don't read these things. If you want to win, to lose favor, when you attack your opponent, definitely people see you are the wrong person. I don't know where people went to school.
Right.
You see that?
And finally, Fred, I want to add one thing because it's important, Fred. It is important, please.
The script.
Listening to this issue about Gachagua every day for breakfast, Gachagua for lunch, Gachagua for dinner, by people in government, and now people speaking for Jubilee, you wonder, are they in government? Or are they in opposition? When you see Kale, who is a very senior member of Jubilee, attacking Gachagua, so you wondering, are these our people or these are people sent? Because when you come accusing Gachagua about disorganizing opposition, he came with DCP. Continue selling your parties. Why do people want Gachagua to come and sell their parties? By the way, who said that? And number two, what are we talking about? The suspicion has been members of Jubilee, members of parliament from Jubilee are in broad-based. So Kathy is confirming and is sending questions to Kenyans. Is Jubilee part of broad-based? Because he's talking about this, we should talk about united opposition. Now he's making social laugh inside, saying they are fighting each other. Because no,
I'm not laughing.
No,
everybody's laughing.
Because
Kenyans are laughing.
No, this is very important. No, Fred, this is.
But
there's no opposition.
But I think
there's no united.
This is important. I want to know through Kathy whether Jubilee is part of opposition, because you cannot attack a member of the opposition in national TV and then claim that you're part of the opposition. Let them declare and go to broad-based.
It's non-existent.
No. We have to be very careful.
I am the one to give you an opportunity to speak, please.
And you cannot be attacking DCP.
We will just...
United opposition.
But there's no such thing as united opposition.
We've killed all your mics, so whatever noise you make does not
Can we now allow the
united opposition
to fight?
Allow me.
I think you can give us a break so that
allow me to run the show.
This united opposition can
allow me
fight.
to run the show, Bwana.
Oh, thank you.
Bwana Fuamba, who do you speak for?
I speak for Kenyans. I don't speak for any individual. I speak the truth.
Do you speak for government?
Not. The government spokesman is Isaac Mwaura. He's the one who speaks for the government.
Do you speak for UDA Kenya Kwanza? Do you speak for the side that is currently ruling?
I speak for the people and for the fairness.
Oh, great. Who do you speak for, Kathy?
I speak as an active citizen who is actively involved in the day-to-day politics of this country. I do not represent the Jubilee Party, and by the way, I need to update my friend here, Dr. Mbaye, that I am not a member of the Jubilee Party. Let's first get that clear, and we don't have a lot of time to dwell on that, first of all. But then let me also say that these legacy politicians...
No. This question is what I want answered.
Yes,
because what he raised
is answered.
Who speaks for who, when?
And I don't, but I'm in the opposition.
You are in the opposition?
I'm in the opposition.
Not in Jubilee. You are part of the united opposition.
I'm not part of the united opposition. I'm in the opposition.
So you do not...
There's nothing like united opposition. United opposition is equal to Rigathi Gachagua.
Or at least we know Bwana Sosiona and the side he represents. Is that clear now?
It's very. It's good.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you so much,
Dr. Mbaye. I don't want to give you more time to dwell on it. I'm asking, is it clear now? Who speaks for who? Bwana Sosiona, I've not given you an opportunity. No.
Why don't you want to ask me that question?
We have seen Kathy in photos in very senior meetings with Jubilee. So please, it's very serious. I don't know when.
I'm updated.
Let us now.
But again, there's no such thing as united opposition.
Allow me to ask the question.
United opposition.
Let's delve on matters to do with the DCP party for a while now, because I know and I can see the interest that all of you want to talk about it. We've seen the Juja MP, George Koimburi, now ditching DCP. He's not the first one. Other sitting members of parliament have ditched the party. Recently, we saw President William Ruto go back to the Mount Kenya region, and within no time, headlines came out about the shift in the mountain. Do you believe there's a shift in the mountain?
Obviously so, because President Ruto will eventually get Mount Kenya back to his basket. This is because, some time back we said 2027 is still far, and a lot of developments are emerging each and every day. There was this feeling that Moses Kuria was joining them. Then at some point he declared something. Then yesterday, he said that yesterday and the other day, he joined the president in Nyeri and said he's two-term. Look at the governor of Nyeri, who was a very close confidant of Rigathi Gachagua. He moved and is now supporting the president. Then you look at Koimburi, the MP who abducted himself the other day. He's decided that he's on the side of UDA. So many people are moving back to the government. I was in Western during the December holidays, and I attended two functions. One was attended by Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, and he told people that they need to work so hard to consolidate the votes to support President William Ruto, because there's competition for that space, and even implied that Kikuyus are coming back. It was very specific. So the Kikuyus are coming back, and you see somebody like the governor of Kirinyaga is on the side of the president assertively. Wamushomba here, who was seriously against the president, is now supporting him. So there's a pattern, and that's why DCP has to become creative the way they are becoming, so that they reignite their presence in publicity. Right. So that's why they are pulling all these stunts.
Okay.
So eventually, apart from Honorable Moses Wetangula's sentiments, I went to Vihiga during the cultural festival of the Maragoli that was being presided over by Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and the sentiments were the same. So Western is consolidating itself. If you look at Nyanza, they're also competing for that space. So eventually, there's a very high likelihood that President William Ruto, by the time you go to elections, he'll have no opponent.
And it's curious that all those meetings that you attended, as you say, you do not align with any side. It's only leaders from one side who are presiding over those events.
One was a funeral, another one was a cultural event.
Kathy Rungu, what do you make of President William Ruto's return to the Mount Kenya region?
It's not a surprise to me that he's come back to Mount Kenya, and I would say he was given a good or proper reception, one that he deserves as the head of state. But then he should not take that to mean that the people are with him entirely. I mean, it's very important because for people like ourselves, we interact with the public every other time. The people are, the disconnect is there. People are not happy about certain things. Of course, not everything. And especially the issue of economy. Our people are business people and they are actively involved in agricultural processes and so many other activities. And when people have a problem putting a meal on the table and their livelihoods are affected and they feel like the government overpromised on certain areas and certain things and they're not doing much and they're coming back again with slogans and promising things that they're not sure, there's a concern on the ground. However, I think William Ruto is one daring individual. He's very candid because he faced them and he spoke to them. And I did not see anybody heckle him as it was expected. But I'll tell you this, the problem is that there has not emerged, or the person who purports to come from the region, or he comes from the region in the name of the DCP party leader, who is always on the ground talking to the people in vernacular and even at times on national television like here, and telling the people that heckle the president, you know, do not listen to the members of parliament aligned to UDA. And it is the truth. I mean, all this is on record. Or when you see these people, protect me, and all these kind of things. It is not selling.
Do you believe there's this perception that there's a wave of exodus from the DCP party?
Entirely, okay. From what I observe, the DCP party and their party leader Initially, just like William Ruto came to Mount Kenya in the year 2022 and promised and made people quite mesmerized and happy and listened to him. That's the same, these people made an entry into Mount Kenya. And they capitalized on the impeachment to an extent that they made it an issue of the community, which is not necessarily true. But then with time, 1 year from the time they were impeached up to now, everything that they are selling, everywhere that they are going, is not promising. Because one term, what is one term? You cannot go to every meeting and say one term. You go to every meeting and whine. You go to every meeting and sell to us anger and bile just because you are discontented as an individual, not as a community. This is not a community affair. It is a personal affair. And I would like to remind the DCP party leader, because now we are discussing DCP and it is good that we
I don't feel like you've answered my question.
I don't think it's 100% exodus, to the side of government, because these are individuals who are moving. Mm-hmm. We still have individuals like Dr. Mbaye here who are still in the party. And so many other candidates, I've seen them even in my constituency, who are going around and opening offices and doing all those kind of manner of things. The only problem, and this is where I challenge them, is this. There's no alternative that they are offering.
All right.
Theirs is noise. Selling, spitting bile everywhere and demonizing the president as if they were not part of the presidency, as if they are not part of the people who put this government in power.
All right.
You see?
President William Ruto returns to Mount Kenya, of course, buoyed by that win in Mbeere North. Do you think it's enough for him to reclaim a bit of what he is perceived to have lost from that region?
No, reclaiming is a figment of imagination, and even thinking that he had lost the mountain is also another creation by those who would wish to pull down the president. The politics of bitterness and hate-mongering, I think, is evaporating at the mountain. It failed to land through those arrangements and the political groupings that glorify hatred and selling the brand product of one term which failed to land. And this was demonstrated in Mbeere. The people who voted in Mbeere are the people from the mountain. And they elected a member of parliament of UDA that of President William Ruto, and they said, we have confidence in the government, and so we give you a member of parliament through UDA. And we have seen the grassroots political activities of UDA in the mountain. There have been grassroots election in all the polling stations with a very high turnout, very enthusiastic members coming to vote. And that indicates an unchanged, strong presence of United Democratic Alliance Party at the mountain. The activities of the president at the mountain, purely developmental, very clear, very phenomenal to the people. We saw how he was received in Karatina town, the engagement with the people, the ordinary people in Karatina town, and people are excited. People can count and can account what the president is doing. Okay. So I think those who tried to promote hatred and bitterness against the president did not succeed at the mountain. Right. And the people at the mountain are as good as the rest of Kenyans, and they are Kenyans.
And you're looking at the perception now in the mountain, Dr. Mbai, because it is said that even with the president's return to Mount Kenya region, buoyed, of course, by what happened at the by-election, compared to what now we are seeing happening to DCP, that even a number of elected leaders are now openly coming out to challenge your party leader and to criticize him and declaring allegiance to the other side. That perception alone, it means a lot.
Thank you so much. Two things very fast. One, the president didn't go to Mount Kenya because of Mbele. The president, you know the way you can win a battle, you know you have lost the war. You win a battle, but you know you are so pained by that, and you know very well you stole. That is what, deep in the system, they know. They know spending 400 million and all the police, GSU, like a unit from Ruiro was there. It's not something you want to celebrate because you cannot replicate that in 2027 next year in 290 constituencies. Let's park that. Number two, by the way, you're going to train some people some manners on this panel. You know, BAMBA used to be a senior leader of SONU many years ago.
Because of time, just move on.
He has degenerated all the way down.
Don't go back. I will control him.
Thank you for guiding me. And by the way, Fred, I think you just ask a question like Jesus. Watu wameruka watu yao hapa Kipetero. I don't know how they are going to go back. Watu wameruka serikali, wameruka Jubilee. Wakasema no, I'm not here for them. Watapata shida huko nje. You know? Unakuja hapo unaruka watu, but it's fine. Number 3. So they know that. But number 2, at no point the president is a consumer of raw intelligence. He knows where the mountain is with him. If you look at the speech, it was a man who is training to try to look for love which is lost. Oh, ninawezaje waacha? When you begin hearing, ninawezaje kuacha, niachane na nyinyi, he knows. By the time he went to Mount Kenya, listen to me. When 1 year after the impeachment of the Honorable Gachagua, the Mount Kenya voted 47%. I can tell you 1 year later, he did his reports, it was for 15%. Then he said, let's go. You remember that first time he went to Mount Kenya? Each constituency 10 million for mobilization. He spent 1 billion. After that 3 months, he did another survey. It was 9%. Then they planned the economic empowerment. If you remember, we were here. They planned the economic empowerment, another 1 billion. Right now, the support Ruto has in Mount Kenya is less than 5%. I can tell you, not me talking, yes.
Yet more leaders from the DCP party.
Now, I'm coming there. I'm coming there. Let me say this as a matter of fact. Me, I will not look at my party and my formation. I am deeply in DCP as a Secretary for Planning and Economic Affairs, and I am deeply in the technical team in the United Opposition. That's where I'm here, and day at night, even if I dream at night, the visions I see at night, I see them aligned to what I stand for. So I will not look at anybody. So let me tell you this, Fred. We are praying God every day in our New Year prayers because we went to a forest, we prayed all of us. We prayed for this country, we prayed for DCP and the United Opposition. God, please remove from us all the Judases as soon as possible so you can bring to us people who are called, people who are consistent with this calling, not just to the elections, but forming this government. So anybody who feels that they had expectations like free tickets, okay? You know, free nomination ticket, don't go to nomination because I'm close to Rigathi Gachagua, so can I get a ticket? You have seen many people who have left because they went at night saying, me, I want you to give me a direct ticket. We are not going to give direct tickets. Whether you are an MP or a senator or even me, NEC, I'm not going to get a free ticket because our party is a party for the people. So without going to the details, when you see people behaving in a certain way, maybe they have so many cases, and they're being threatened. You remember you have a case like this, it's going to come up. You know, the issues of abductions, I don't want to go to the details, we are watching you. Such people we celebrate at night. Actually, you could see the relief in our faces because we have been put into some mud by some people. If they go, we celebrate. But going back, Fred, I can tell you this. The president knows. And when he goes to Mount Kenya, he never speaks about Singapore. Did you hear him? He never mentioned Singapore because he knows the witchcraft which he did in 2022. Lies and a lot of connotations and all of that. He cannot come back with the same. So he comes and tries to talk other things completely. He goes to sell Singapore to another place, people who don't know him. So what am I saying? I'll tell you this. The president fears two things. One thing he said, the people who come here talking about Kasongo must go, one term. President fears narratives because he knows what will take him home is one term. Okay. What will take him home is Kasongo must go. Wow. That is exactly what we are going to insist every day. Okay. And it's going to take him in.
Allow me to guide you. Allow me to guide you, Fuamba. We only have 8 minutes exactly, so 2 minutes each for your final comments. There's also an extension of what is happening with the DCP party leader on what he said about schools. It features here on the front page, 800,000 senior school learners yet to report to school. There's that debate that has been ignited even beyond the DCP party leader about what leaders have done in as far as developing schools in their regions as well. I would really ask you, I know you may want to dwell on that, but I really urge you to comment on that. Don't you think that there is indeed a valid debate there, but because of the political leanings, we may miss out on it altogether? As you make your final point.
Of course, on the issue of schools, there are challenges because this is a new system that is being tested. And those challenges are like teething problems, like when you are starting anything else. And then financial challenges are normal. Everybody has gone through that. There's no one who is so much complete when it comes to dealing with the issues of school fees or even pocket money for their children. So some of these challenges are not new, but they'll be sorted out with the time once we get used to the system. But about the DCP and their problems, the president, when he visited the Mount Kenya, he was very clear and he said things that are seen. He said that he was introduced to Mount Kenya by President Uhuru Kenyatta, which is factual. Rigathi Gachagua was an appointee of President William Ruto. He's the one who nominated him. Even the MPs of Central did not vote for him to be the deputy president, but the president himself handpicked him and made him deputy president. So it cannot come out that Gachagua, after enjoying the sympathy he got after being impeached, becomes delusional and starts imagining that Mount Kenya is behind him. That has never been the case. And the best experiment will be done during the election time. It's too early to say whether the Mount Kenya ever left the president or not until we get to the elections. Then we decide, we know who is having what kind of following. And as far as I'm concerned, the united opposition does not exist. Courtesy of Rigathi Gachagua. In any case, just as Kathy stated, the united opposition existed when Kalonzo, Eugene, and other people were together after Raila left. By the moment Gachagua joined them, he has actually committed a bloody coup d'etat against the real opposition. And that's why they are disintegrated, and it will be so difficult for anyone to win from that side. And there's a likelihood that President Ruto will win without having a lot of challenges in 2027.
Thank you, Bonafomba. Kathy?
I would say the following. And I want to start weighing in with this issue of Mount Kenya. As a resident of Mount Kenya and someone who comes from that region, there's nothing inspiring in DCP. Rigathi Gachagua is a condemned man. He cannot run for president, and neither can he be a deputy president. The people of Mount Kenya voted for President William Ruto because I think, as at times give credit to him, his name was there, and it was just a name because, as Foba says, and I can attest to it, he was barely given an opportunity by the president, by the current president. And therefore, the people of Mount Kenya are asking themselves, where are you taking us? Because he's simply a broker. He wants, in his alignment, there's going to be a non-Mount Kenya president, a non-Mount Kenya deputy president, and then he will negotiate for the people. The people of Mount Kenya are not stupid. If that happens, in fact, maybe that is why the people are following the president, because maybe they are looking at the other side and saying, but the president has someone from Mount Kenya East. Because at the end of the day, and he's actually the one who propagates that kind of politics better than myself, the shareholding and ethnic balkanization. So the people must be asking themselves, But then there are those people who are looking for change, like myself, the people who are asking, I mean, the one-term brigade and the two-term brigade are not offering any solution. And these are the people now who will be very keen, and that I believe that is where, and the Mount Kenya, a majority of Mount Kenya people will vote for change and not necessarily an alignment or a political party as they wish. On the issue of schools, I think the statements by the DCP party leader were unfortunate. And I say this because, as someone who comes from the region, some of the schools that we have in Mount Kenya, including Alliance, including Tumutumu Girls, where I come from, including Kagumo, Gandu, and so many other of these schools, we are not actually, let's be honest, it is not us who started those schools. Some of those schools were started by the colonial powers through the church. And therefore, when you tell people that enda mkasomee kwenyu, or you tell people that they cannot join Alliance or another school because they don't come from the region, that is unfortunate. Some of the best brains we have in this country went to school in Mount Kenya region, yet they didn't come from Mount Kenya region. We also have people from Mount Kenya region who went to school in other areas, yet they don't come from those regions. So really, that was quite unfortunate. Right. But the man is divisive. So that's why he propagates such things.
Bwana Sossion, you go next.
I think the political approach of President Ruto to the country's affairs is so sophisticated for the, let me call it, divided opposition, because even they can't fight a footing of piecing up their agenda other than promoting hatred and bitterness. And it is so loaded with people-based agenda that the president finds it so easy even to engage the ordinary public and communicate in a very clear language. And these are measurable programs that are being implemented. And therefore, matching the approach of governance style and delivery of the president is not going to be very easy for the opposition. And they cannot look for some pockets of the country to try and unsee the president. The president is working literally everywhere and is mobilizing every part, every region of the country, including the mountain. And we have seen the reaction from the mountain. The citizens on the mountain are reacting very positively and receiving the president's agenda very, very, very well. On education, recalibration of an education system that was messed up, so confused, is not a walk in the park, but a lot has been achieved. The low reporting, I think, needs to be verified whether actually it is low reporting, but there will be 100% transition. All students will transit to senior secondary school. And the only thing that we need to do going into the future, because when you look at the data in senior secondary school, 76% of the learners are day scholars. That means Kenya is shifting to day-based education, and day schools are closer to households. And in the agenda of the president, the quality of the day schools must be improved, but in terms of infrastructure, staff deployment, and ensuring that all quality requirements are in place. That is, quality teachers, quality infrastructure, quality teaching and learning tools, so that education is availed closer to the household. Those are the measures of improvement that needs to be done. And it's not the business only of government, it's a business of all Kenyans, because schools exist within communities, and it becomes the duty and responsibilities of communities to improve. The national schools shall remain national schools for the purpose for which it was intended, while admitting students equitably from across the country based on merit. Okay. And I think all is well in education. There's a lot of work still to be done, so that we ensure that the country is registering good education quality outcomes.
Thank you, Mwalimu. Finally, Dr. Mbai.
Thank you, Fred. One, I want to state from the word go that we don't owe the president of this republic our agenda as a united opposition. He keeps asking us for agenda. We owe our agenda to the people of Kenya at the right time.
And where is that
Number
agenda?
Number two,
final comments.
We will give it at the right time. Because I don't know why government is so concerned about our agenda, yet they should give us their scorecard 4 years later. That's it. And not scorecard, launching, these are going to inspect, it is commissioning by the 4th year. I'm an expert on the river, I know what I'm saying. So any stories about, what is your agenda? They want to begin demolishing our agenda, yet they should give their scorecard. That's number one. So please, Mr. President, let us do our work. Our work is very simple. Simply to reverse all the bad policies, and I can tell you, Fred, within 90 days, 70% of the challenges we have in this country can be done through administrative action with proper political goodwill. That one we will do immediately we take government. That's number one. Number two, I want to say this. When you talk about, so I can finish with school, when you talk about... And
we don't have...
we don't have time. Please, in a nutshell. My friend Kathy, when you say they don't have alternatives, who are they? Are you in government again or in opposition? When you say they, opposition do not have. Look at the word they. I doubt, please, let us all of us go listen to ourselves. Let us all go listen to ourselves after this debate. And when we come next time, let's find, please take a stand. If in government, defend government to the end. If in opposition, there's nothing like opposition and united opposition. Please, let's go, because it's New Year, we go think about...
It's a one-man show.
Finally,
school
issue. Let me tell you, Fred, I feel pain as a parent. Because government exists to do 3 things in the whole world: education, security, and health. Look at this. 800,000 of our kids. If there's one thing government must do, not should, must in the Constitution, is education. Make sure all these kids, because these are kids of the poor people. I can tell you, the 200,000 who are in school are the kids of people who are me and you, who are who are up there. We need all these kids to be in school. And I can tell you this is not a laughing matter. This government must make sure, we are saying this, since the introduction of CBC, led from the working party, you cannot be in 4th year in government that you are advising. Then come and tell us, in the 4th year, we are still groping in the dark. What have you been doing with taxpayers' money for 4 years? Right. You have been in government. You want to still come and be apologetic of a system that has failed. All the stakeholders, Fred, are complaining about this system. Okay. Even if you got something from Uhuru Kenyatta, you came to power. Come on, you are here to fix it. This is embarrassing. And I want you, media, keep giving us these figures. We want to see next week how many have. We want to see how many are not going to go. We will go to force this government to make sure everybody goes to school.
All right. 800,000 senior school learners are still at home on the 4th day of reporting to schools and admission processes in most schools countrywide. So that is a big discussion there. Of course, the other big one, Uganda decides. The elections in Uganda are underway. Polling stations have opened, and Yoweri Museveni is seeking his 7th term as president. These are some of the things we've been discussing here with Dr. Peter Mbai, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at DStv, Mwalimu Wilson Sosion, who's a veteran unionist and educationist, and also a former member of the National Assembly, political commentator Kathy Rungu, and Fwamba NC Fwamba, who's also a political and social commentator. Asanteni sana for your time at TV47. Yes, indeed, we've gone through that headline. KQ, the main one on the front page of the Standard. I think the People Daily talking about something else, the contenders for the position of running mate under William Ruto come 2027. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the state of the nation. My name is Fred Indimuli. Good morning.